Welcome to this week's episode of the Real Wealth Podcast. This week we are going deep on property investment, and who else better to join me for that than the main man for our Real Property Scotland business, Mr. Conar Tracey. Conar, welcome.
Thanks, Alex. Looking forward to this one.
First solo Real Wealth Podcast episode.
Indeed. I've been on a few podcasts, but it's not quite the same when you're doing your own one.
Indeed. So, yeah, wanted to get into the guts of property investment and really start to talk about not only the sort of stuff we've done in the past, obviously that's a big part of our journey has been property investment, but also now how we're helping other people build and scale their buy-to-let portfolio. But I think for me the obvious place to start is with your background. You've been in property from a really young age, and I think that's a good place to start. So let's go into some of that.
Yeah, I mean, essentially I got involved in property probably when 18, 19, I think around about that time. I think I just turned 19 a couple of months into the year. But basically I'd only ever done sales. I kind of knew that I wanted to get involved in property, but I didn't know what it looked like. I just knew that people made money in property. My stepdad had a joinery business. He had some kind of good clients, tried to chip in and work with him, but I'm not a guy for hands on the tools, so it didn't really last very long. So I kind of knew I wanted to get involved, and I had seen a traineeship that became available for a company called AIA Real Estate, and they were based George Square in Glasgow. So really it was just a trainee estate agency role, albeit when I actually started, we were doing residential sales, residential lettings, commercial sales, commercial lettings, and also business transfer.
Yeah.
So it was kind of thrown right in at the deep end. And it was a relatively small outfit, albeit it had backing from the Middle East, over in Dubai. It was just a kind of cool foundation to kind of get into. There was a property manager, one other assistant, myself, and the director. So it was just me and the director kind of, I worked it really closely with him, and just got to get really submerged in about everything to do with property. So
how easy was it to get into property at 19 in that role? Because, you know, I guess when it comes to property transactions, people are instantly wary when they're dealing with someone that's a bit younger and not been around the block. You know, how did you get on with that?
Yeah, so I mean, like that role I got myself, because I even went, I think it was a Commonwealth funding or something at the time. I can't remember, but basically the job paid fucking nothing. Like it was peanuts. And it was through funding, so I think I was walking away with like between 900 and £1,000 a month. Like that's all I was getting paid at the time. But I was living at home with my mum. I was only 19, and I just wanted to get started in something I wanted to do. But I remember going and applying for like other estate agency type roles, and I even spoke to a property recruitment guy, kind of the biggest in Scotland, and he literally, his feedback was just, "You've got no chance. You're too young." Yeah, and I was like, well, how do I gain any experience if nobody's going to give me a chance?
How do you get started? Yeah,
exactly. And he was like, yeah, maybe come back in a few years. And I was like, but how can I come back in a few years with anything that's valuable to you if I can't get started? I was like, I'm only looking for an entry-level job.
Yeah,
you know, viewing agent, negotiator, whatever gets my foot in the door to start learning. So basically this trainee role came up, and unless I secured this funding, the job wasn't there for me.
Yeah,
it was only because I was cheaper and fully funded rather than paid somebody an actual salary, so it made sense for the business to take me on.
Yep.
So during that time, I built good relationships. You know, there was big landlords that I was securing business with in that role that really liked me because I kind of came in with this, I guess this untainted kind of mould of a fresh kid right off the block with no experience in the game, but willingness to learn. And because I just kind of submerged myself in it, I learned really quickly, and I had a couple of cool different ideas that probably the traditional method didn't. So I got a lot of traction in that role, but when I eventually moved from that role only about a year and a half later, and I took a valuer role with Auction House Scotland, who had a quick sale side to their business, an auction company, and also an estate agency, my age stint proved really quite difficult.
Yeah,
because I would change position. At that time, I wasn't just an estate agent kind of doing viewings and also trying to sell the property. My full focus was to value properties and convince people to use me to provide them an exit. And a lot of people in that business model were people who were in really kind of high pressure situations.
Yep.
So they're looking at me as a guy who, not even 20 yet, trying to tell them what to do with their life and what to do with their biggest asset.
Yeah. You're very much in that situation, a solution provider, and I guess it's hard to swallow that this young kid is going to be the solution to this problem.
Yeah. And it did come up a lot, but then it was just a case of that they were kind of just blown away with my knowledge on exactly what was going to do. And sometimes it's one of these situations where you don't have to have lived through it to understand what to do to avoid a negative outcome, because you can just learn from other people who have managed that case, and also look at case studies of other deals that we had done where this person was in this scenario, that person was in that scenario, this is what we've done, this is the complications we came across. And then I was like, right, okay, I get that. When that then situation hit me, I know exactly what to do. I've not lived through it, but I know what to do because I've learned from the ones before. So I ended up in that position. I ended up being the guy who would take on the most complex scenarios. And I think I just managed to kind of communicate very well to vendors about this is your best outcome and this is how we're going to do it, and just be very deliberate on it. And, if somebody did make comment on my age or whatever, then I eventually got kind of wise to it, and I would shut it down in an appropriate manner kind of thing. But it's a very real hurdle.
Yeah, it sounds like a trial by fire, and the fact that you've gone through this massive learning curve, apprenticeship, and really this side of it has been your entire career up to now. It's dealing deep within these sort of complex property issues and trying to find resolutions. And I'm always really impressed when I hear you guys talking about a specific situation that a vendor might be in, and the variety of cool ways that we can structure something to help them. I always find it really impressive, because most people have a linear view of this is your option.
100%, yeah. And I've been very thankful for how I kind of got into the game, because I was, that second role that I took was incredibly unique. I remember even the associate director at the time, I had 3 interviews. I hounded them to get the opportunity, and eventually it just came down to, I was like, look, I'll work for $1,000 a month. I'll work cheap, cheaper than everyone. I just wanted the opportunity to come in. And obviously any employer hears that and sees, okay, this guy's quite switched on and he's willing to work for next to nothing. Everyone else is going to be close to double. Let's give him a chance. But she said to me, you'll be the youngest property valuer in Scotland if we do this. I'm getting a lot of fucking pressure when even considering bringing you in at this position. And I was like, cool, but I'll not let you down.
I think there's 2 notable things on that. One is the self-belief you had going into that role to know, okay, I can take this baseline salary because I know I'm going to smash it and it's going to go up. And the second is just the work ethic that I must have taken to get there.
Oh yeah, the work ethic was never in doubt, and that was one of these things going through that process of, I think just before I took the traineeship at £900 a month, I'd also been offered, again, one of these unique situations where the guy seen loads of potential, and I think it was Arnold Clark, but for your age bracket, so I was obviously under 21, they can only pay you a salary of 16.5, 17k or something. But I was basically, the guy was like, I don't want to give you that because I feel that you'll be a much higher performer. So I want to offer you the normal, which I think was 25 grand. So it was a big difference. You had to get approval from head office and all that to allow a guy my age to do it. But I had to go on a separate training program if they were going to pay me that. But anyway, regardless, I came up the road and obviously told my mum I'm being offered this, and she's like, well, that's a big deal at 25k. I think my mum's only ever earned 25 to 30k as a salary. So now here's me in my teens, getting offered this day one. So, it was a big deal when I turned around and said, I'm not going to take that, by the way, I'm going to go and take this traineeship, pay me peanuts. But I was committed to, I don't want to sell cars. I know where I want to be. Could have maybe done it for a couple of years and I'd have been on the next thing. I'd have been looking for something else. So there was a lot of self-belief, and I think even my own parents maybe didn't believe that. They probably just thought I was fucking about and didn't know where I was going. But I didn't necessarily know what I wanted to do. I just thought that interests me a lot. Let's see where it goes. And if it didn't work out, I'd have pivoted and done something else. But as soon as I got in, I just had the bug for it, and it just kind of blew up from there.
So let's move on from that and talk about how effectively you came into our life. So Laurie and I, obviously, we started our property investment journey probably about 5-6 years ago now, seriously, and doing our own things and trying to figure out how to get these below market value deals and build our portfolio. And we made some mistakes at the start, and gradually over time we started to work closer together because it seemed to make more sense. And then at some point in the journey you came along, and the initial start of our relationship was you were essentially sourcing deals for us. But I've jumped ahead a little bit there. Let's talk about the first meeting. Let's talk about the first.
Coming an iconic story, this one. But yeah, basically I was the valuation manager for the whole of Scotland for the company called Springbok, who are basically a quick selling estate agency based in Manchester. But essentially, like, all the roles I've been in have just been these valuer roles, as they call them, are actually just glorified sourcing roles. Like, I was employed to actively engage with people who are looking to sell their property and find the most effective solution that I could monetize, that got them a sale, usually fast and securely. Therefore, unlikely to be a first-time buyer or a owner-occupier. It's going to be investors. So that was the game I kind of played in that space all the time. So when I came in and took that role with Springbok, I completely transformed the business in Scotland, because they didn't quite have the grasp of the market up here and the people and how it kind of works and how this game is played. I think the guy before me wasn't a property guy. I can't remember what he'd done, but I was the first kind of experienced person in that role, and it massively changed the numbers. So much so that I made such an impact that Mr. Laurie Duncan, our other business partner, was trying his hand at sourcing and kept coming up against me, and he kept losing, and just got frustrated and didn't know how the fuck he kept losing. So he booked a fake valuation for a property in Grangemouth, and I turned up at the flat and looking at it, tried the door, there's no answer. So I phoned him and he says, oh no, it's not there that you're meeting me, it's round the corner at my house. But the only address I had in the system was the flat he wanted to sell. So anyway, it was only 5 minutes. I mean, drove round, went to the house, big minted gaff, parked in the drive, and then next minute I hear this roaring with this big dog, German Shepherd, come flying at his door.
Beast of analysis.
Oh, here we go. And LD takes us in, promises me that he was friendly, big Kobe. And then we basically sat out the back. So the full appointment, he's basically walking me through the standard process. He's asking me all the right questions. Just seemed like a standard vendor to me. He built up a few units because I checked him out beforehand. I always do that as part of my due diligence. And I knew he had a few units at the time. So I was basically asking him, well, why are you offloading this one? He spun me a story, I think, to do with the tenant, or he just wanted to cash out or something. So I basically gave him all the proposals about what he could do and what I do. So he's heard all my full pitch. And at the end, he just goes, what if I just want to do something just with you? And then I was like, well, we can look at something like that too. And then at that point, he went, right, I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm not actually looking to sell my flat. And I just completely fucking collapsed. Because I just assumed at that time that he was working with Springbok.
And it was a test.
And it was a test, and I just immediately failed. So I was under pressure, and I could see his wife like peeking in and out the windows the whole time. And it turns out she knew the whole story, and I was being set up. So eventually, though, after he'd done that, he said, no, what the script is I'm an investor and I'm looking to grow my portfolio. Told me that he'd basically been losing out, kept coming up against me, and he just wanted to know what I was doing. And he was like, look, based on everything you've told me, I know where I'm going wrong. Like, I don't know what you know. I don't know how to say that and how to do all of that kind of thing. So how about we do some deals together? I'm trying my hand at some sourcing. And usually I would have said no, because he basically just fucking set me up and I made that.
I could quite easily in that situation to be angry about it.
Exactly. But I was still kind of like overcoming the fear. And then I went up the road and I was like, yes, wait till I tell my missus this one. So I went back up the road and I remember just placing LD's card down. I had a kind of mini office in the dining room, and at the back, and I had all my files and stuff. And I remember his card just sitting there. And every day I was coming back and I just kept seeing the card, and I thought, let's just see. And I ended up securing a deal down in Greenock, valued I think at 40 grand, and I got it for 17 and a half. Gale Street in Greenock, not the nicest area. But I went to LD and I said, look, I've got this deal. What do you want to do on it? And he says, I've got a guy in London that'll buy it at think his fee was $3,500 or something. So we ended up, we just went 50-50 on the fee, sold the deal, that concluded within 2 weeks, and then it just spiraled from there. Yeah, you know, he delivered what he said he would. I like the kind of approach he took with the appointment. Like,
I mean, who the fuck does that?
exactly,
you know,
man.
Not many people would think that approach. Not many people would be bold enough to make.
People might think it, because you could have sat there the whole time and just be like, who is this guy? And maybe you would have found out, you would ask him the right questions. Of course, you would have eventually found out who it was, but you wouldn't have got to know me. You wouldn't have, even if he phoned me and was just like, I'm looking for deals about, cool, mate, join the queue. Like, the way he did it is probably the only reason that we ended up doing anything together.
Yeah.
You know, and it's because he just thinks differently to people.
He does. He thinks differently to almost everybody. I know, but that's what makes.
I got this car there actually just quickly, and it popped up on the radio, and it was a song, but the title of the song was "How to Levitate," and I was like, there is nobody else's car I could get in.
Yeah.
A song called "How to Levitate" would be on.
Yeah.
Like, apart from Laurie's.
I know. You know, just such a unique character, to say the least. And I think, you know, it became apparent over the next sort of maybe 6 months that the majority of the deals we were doing, and when Laurie and I started doing deals together, were coming from you.
So I think at that time it was literally just at the cusp of where Laurie decided, pack in the source, I just want to be an investor, I just want to buy deals, and you and him kind of teamed up. So what you guys were doing was just simply, you would come to me and say, we've now got more cash. Let us know if you've got anything. Then I would go on the hunt, and I would make sure if I came across something, or if I was working on deals, that I was going to put it in front of you guys first and foremost to see where you went. And then likewise, I would come to you guys and present you a deal and go, right boys, here's one. And then you guys would go and raise the finance to be able to buy it. So we just had this solid synergy, albeit, like, I hadn't actually met you, I don't think, for... I think until, I don't know what deal it was, but it was a further...
It was well on, it was well on, and Laurie was already talking to me about Conar Tracey. And even at the time where we asked you to come and work with us, I didn't know you that well.
Yeah.
And I remember being, you know, I could already see what you can do.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had huge nervousness around us bringing someone else into the mix. One, because of, you know, the responsibility of, you know, someone else's well-being and living. And
yeah, of course. I think at that time it was only admin staff that were here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was just Jennifer.
Yeah.
So technically you were second in the door in terms of the team. But the other part was, I was really worried about how it would affect the dynamic. You know, because Laurie and I had a very clear dynamic between the two of us, and bringing in another really strong person, you know, you always have that, especially because I didn't know you that well, you always have that nervousness that is going to mess up the dynamic.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, I was kind of aware of that. And when we first had the meeting, it was because I came in as an employed position, and it was a case of, I think Laurie had asked me the question about whether you want to be a director, do you want to kind of do that, where do you see it going? And I just said, like, I don't need that. And that was because I was trying to kind of get the point of just, let me come in and let's work together and let's see what I can do, what we're capable of, and then let it kind of naturally grow. Because that's the last thing you kind of would want to do, is just rock up and be like, right, cool, I'm wanting X, Y, and Z, and instantly then you're like, right, okay, I'm not sure about this guy. You know, we barely know each other, and that's the demands or whatever. So I think that I was aware of that kind of not damaging that dynamic, especially because you guys were in business with other friends before, and it was just made sense that the dynamic between you and LD just worked. You know, whereas, you know, you had closer mates, I guess, you could have went into business with, that you've said before that you just wouldn't. No, you're too similar or whatever.
Yeah, you're not getting the value of an opposing skill, or you know, you're not getting someone bringing something unique to the table.
Exactly.
Which is what you did, and you know, I don't know that anyone else could have done that. And I think what we got in the end was just a really fortunate dynamic. You know, it did change the dynamic, but for the better, because we ended up with this nice counterbalance of Laurie's extreme nature, which is absolutely essential to grow a business as quickly to scale as we did. in my sort of more conservative,
to stop us losing it all.
yeah, my more conservative, analytical,
That is
risk averse nature, and you sit kind of bang in the middle between the two of us, and that dynamic's been, I think, hugely important.
That is definitely where I see myself, as a kind of unique blend of both of you in that sense, and it definitely does work. And I've made that comment before that people can copy like our model that we do now, which is unique in Scotland and definitely even in the UK. Someone can come and copy it, but they can't, because they just can't replicate that setup.
Yeah,
it's literally impossible to do.
And I'm really open now about talking about how we structure things, because as you say, it's taken us 3 years to get it to where we've got it, and that's only because of the skills that we individually have that create this combined solution. For anybody to try and replicate it, one, they would have to have the right people, which is the biggest challenge. Two, I think it would take years to figure it out. It's taken us years to figure it out. So I mean, I'm not. I think what we have, and we'll talk about that in a bit, is very unique and very difficult to replicate. Although fairly simple. When you put it on paper, it seems pretty simple and obvious. But the beauty is in the execution, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you look at it and it's like easily someone could copy it.
Yeah,
the model's not something new. It's the dynamic and how we do it, and the mixture of everything we built and how it all blends together. That's what makes it unique, and you genuinely couldn't copy it.
So, we're kind of heading in that direction of that. So you came on board with us, and I think one of the first things you said is, look guys, love what you've got going on with the property investment and all that sort of stuff, but see this training shit, I don't want involved in that. But it's too messy, there's too many other people doing it, they're doing it badly. You get people that don't have a clue about the industry that go on a course and then try and replicate the course and try to do it, where you've been in the industry from 19 and you knew the guts of it, you'd been in the guts of it for a long time, so you had a really negative view of the whole training thing. And over time, what that's led, and over time you've ultimately ended up spearheading that business now for us. But not only that, we've dramatically changed the formula to that, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And I think just for the listeners to understand that whilst myself, Conar and Laurie are all partners in the business, we have distinct roles within the business. We've got developments, we've got all of our buy-to-lets, we've got Real Property Scotland, which has a whole bunch of stuff in it that we'll talk about in a bit. We've got the Black Lock. There's a lot going on in our business, and as a result of that, we've each got our own responsibilities. I spend more time on the buy-to-let stuff, the finances of the group, and a bit more on the building company side for the refurbs. You and Laurie are very sales driven, so you both spend a lot of time on Real Property Scotland, but ultimately you kind of take that lead as sort of MD role of Real Property Scotland and everything we've got going on there. So it's been a massive evolution from I'm keeping away from that training shit to you now spearheading that business. But I guess the most important part of that is it's not really a training business anymore.
No.
So let's talk about Real Property Scotland and everything that we're doing there.
So the only way I can kind of compare my initial response to the training and not wanting to get involved in it is a bit, I guess, like someone who's came through the ranks in the army and they've done like 3 tours, and they've maybe put in 10 years of graft working on the battlefield, learning it. They've seen it all. They've seen the worst, they've seen the best, they've seen every horror story you can think of. And then this cadet comes out the uni and he's an officer and decides, I'll tell you what to do, I know how to play this game. And they've never fucking seen a battle in their life. That's why I didn't like training, because these guys were coming off the back of a 4 or 5 day course thinking they knew as much as me and that they could run alongside me, sometimes ahead of me. And that's what I didn't like, because what I seen time and time again was people lose their fucking money. Was people lose their money, not just on the training, because some people the majority of people just don't do anything, but those who have then tried, they bought stuff at auction that they shouldn't have because they just didn't understand what they were buying. They've made mistakes in terms of overpaying for deals, buying things that they can't get out of. And I've just seen like so many things collapsed that I was just like, I don't want associated with that. What I didn't recognise was how much value and knowledge that you and LD actually had over investment business. So the training business already existed before I came in, and it was a case of I hadn't even reviewed the content, and I just said, no, I'm not interested. Then when I reviewed the content, I learned from it, about certain aspects, because I wasn't a buy-to-let investor. I'd bought and traded deals, but not done any buy-to-let stuff. So I learned an awful lot in that capacity. And I thought, well, if I can learn something from this, what I can now do is actually bring my experience into it, and we can change not only what we teach, but what they actually do once they've acquired knowledge. And the biggest frustration, I think, out of all of it is to protect the people from making mistakes, to not have these horror stories happen to any of our clients, but more so those who invest in learning how to do something and then not applying it.
Yeah.
And the missing link was that the clients were like, okay, I know how to do it. I've raised cash, I've applied all the investment strategies, but I can't find any of these deals that you guys are buying and talking about. And it was like this frustration of the clients were going out and saying, can't find any deals. Can't find any deals. Yet we were doing them in abundance for us, with me kind of leading it up and bringing deals to the table for us. And I'm like, the deals are out there because we are doing them. So, you're just not doing the right work and not working with the right people. And then it just made sense at that point. It's like, well, hold on a minute. Why don't we start supplying our clients with the opportunities as well? So that we can actually ensure that not only do they now know how to do it correctly and professionally, that we can actually feed them the investment opportunities so that they can pull the whole thing together. And then that's where our model has been able to develop and stem from.
And I think that was the first mistake we made, is we created the training course and we thought, this is really good content, this is really solid, it does give people a really holistic view of property investment professionally, to make sure that you're paying little tax as possible, that you're structuring things in the right way to protect your wealth in the long term, that you're getting the deals and you're understanding how to analyse them, that you're financing them in the correct way, you're getting in and out of a deal as quickly as possible. We thought, this is a great course. People are going to flock to do this course. The reality is nobody knows the value of the content until they've done the course. So we've got a massive marketing issue to start with. So that was our first challenge. But the second challenge we didn't realise until probably a year down the line, where we were just training people and then leaving them to it. And as you said, the feedback time and time again was that the course is great, we loved it, but we just can't find the deals to get going. And in the dynamic that we had when you first started with the training course, we were just like every other training course. Our material might have been better, that's for individuals to comment on, but we're competing against everybody else that's doing the same thing up and down the country. The game changer for us is to be able to do more and to create a network of investors that are constantly buying deals, constantly growing. And it's taken us really till the start of this year to get the pieces in place that we need to really make this work. But what we have now, Real Property Scotland, is just a beautiful thing.
Right. Absolutely, because there's multiple factors to it. So it's not just... One of the biggest frustrations when we were doing the training is, you're right, we were just the same as every other training provider. We were doing a 4-day course. But what that was doing is, our main message was, why learn from us? Well, you're learning from us because we're doing it day in, day out. And we're not all, here's what we've done. It's, here's what we've done, here's what we're doing, and here's where we want to be and how we're going to get there. That's what you were getting. We're active property investors. We're not somebody who claims to do deals and can't prove it or anything. It's all there for everybody to see, and that was our story. So when we were running these 4-day intensive training events, it was actually taking us away from our core business. Almost to the detriment of it at times. And that just wasn't going to work for us. It wasn't really... I mean, the level of detail we covered in our training was also too advanced for majority of people, right? It was almost too good. But a lot of people wouldn't even know it was too good because they don't even understand the basics yet. But I knew how good it was because I was already at that level. So when I'm saying it's like, people really don't understand how good this stuff is. And then it was a case of when we done, I think it was our last pro in October of last year. I think, maybe, or January, February, maybe. And we just asked everybody, because we then reduced it from 4 days to we recorded the first 2 days and put it online. We still done these 2 intensive training days. But we're starting from 8, going to 6, and you're just watching people completely minds blown over the stuff we're talking about, and their mental capacity is draining over the day. Yeah. And you can see that they're not fully taking this in, and that they're going to still find themselves just lost. And that's not the plan. The idea is to come in and feel like I understand now how I'm going to go about this, not go in and just be completely over stimulated to the point where you're going, I can't do this shit, it's too complicated, because it's not when you know how. So it was a case of that was our delivery and what we had created if it was kind of producing that. So we took the feedback, and it was very much a case of, we loved the whole course, every bit of the content. The phase 2 stuff was really cool, but it's not relevant to us right now. Yeah. So we want to focus on this. But there are different clients at different levels, and that's where we transformed the training aspect of the business to be no longer an events-based business, because also dates, try to get dates at work.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, and
it's not just a pain in the arse. Like, it's not. It's like what held the business together, but it's not a sensible approach to operating the type of business we wanted to be, because we didn't want to be an events-based business. So we changed that model, and now we're much more direct mentorship support, with the client and whatever aspirations they want to do. And we've got 3 different levels as to how we do that now. So guys can jump in at phase 2 if that's what they want.
I think having all the course material now online, for them to be able to revisit and go through, there might be some of the stuff that's maybe a bit more advanced, but as they progress through their year with us, they have the opportunity to go back and revisit and take in, because we had the first course, the 4-day intensive, there was nothing online. We had notes, we had files, all those files are still there.
And we also said, you can't take the slides.
Exactly.
So it's like,
so they weren't getting that recap to the same level that they do now, where they can watch the videos over and over again to make sure that they've got it, and they've got the support of the weekly Zoom calls to follow up on anything.
And for me, the new model has been the biggest change of, it isn't so much about, okay, I've got all the knowledge, I can watch it all online. It's when they get into the actual steps of making moves, that's where all the real learning happens. They're doing their first deal, when they're scaling and going to the next one, they're talking about how they can do certain things, how can they move faster. That's where we bring the most value, because we've done it faster than anybody. Like, we're the fastest growing property investment company in the UK. Like that's fact at the moment. The time scale that we've done it. I was actually speaking to Laurie about this. Like, Greg Cardone, billionaire now, his first 3 years, he bought 1 deal in year 1, 1 deal in year 2, 48 units in year 3. We had over 200 properties inside 2.5 years. They're okay. Values are different in America, we're a little bit cheaper, but the same principle applies. We outscaled even Grant Cardone in his first 3 years of business. So when you look at that in comparison about, here's all the shit we learned over that many deals. Here's what we're learning every day. So when someone comes to us and says, I'm doing my first deal, how does bridging work? They're saying this. And it can be simple questions, but it's, if you don't get it right, the whole deal can fall apart. And that's where the ongoing support comes from. And we even give them, we created this with Essentials course as well, which was meant to be like an introduction to property investing. We talk about the different ways you can make money through it. But a lot of that is actually more advanced than half of these training courses out there. So not only do they get that, which is about 25 hours, I think, then there's all the stuff online for the pro content as well, which is basically 4 live days that's just been recorded, now online with summary notes, questions, and literally thousands upon thousands of pounds worth of documents that we use in our business that are essential to operate a professional buy-to-let business.
It is a very holistic approach we have, and the new model, which again really only kicked in at the start of this year. Someone can come to work with us and they can choose the level of support that they think is right for them and how quickly they want to grow and what access they have to cash. And our baseline promise is, we'll train you, we'll mentor you, and we'll get your first deal done that we'll source for you below market value. That's the basic offer. Right?
And there's the commitment to that, and the reason behind it as to how I structured that offer is looking at what people go to training providers for. Go to them for the knowledge. Okay, great. We were given knowledge in abundance, but it still wasn't quite good enough. We were still seeing people leave and not achieve the results they cared for, right? Then it was a case of, okay, we're not offering where we were saying we were offering support, but all we were doing is, if you need anything, give us a phone. Right? That was our support. And yeah, and if they phoned us and if they texted us asking a question, we gave them the responses. But if they didn't come to us, we never went looking for them, right? We changed that by setting these weekly calls. So it's like there's a time and date where we expect you to show up and you be prepared with what you want us to answer. And we even prepare some extra educational content, or we share insights based on how we're operating as a business. So we're constantly in the client space, because that's the other thing, is accountability. So it's making sure that, okay, you now understand how we're doing it, but you've just had a lot of knowledge. You've got it all there. You know where to go and find the information. But here's also where you can come and ask the questions and get that extra support. And then the final thing is, people want results, guaranteed, and they want to do it faster than anybody else. That's the main thing. So our commitment was, not only are we going to guarantee to do your first deal, it's we're going to set a timeline on when you want to do it based on your aspirations. So some people, it was like, I've already got cash, I just want to learn how to do this, and I want to buy the best deal possible. Okay, we'll show you how to do this correctly, we'll set up the model, we'll be there to support you, but we guarantee to do your first deal in 90 days.
And to a sense, now with the model that we have, it's one of the easiest sales pitches ever, and we see that in the amount of people that are starting to work with us now. Of, you have to make a financial commitment to come and work with us, but you're guaranteed to get your first deal, which will give you an equity position, which is more valuable than the investment you've made to come and work with us. So 100%. You're instantly creating that money back. Right.
And this is the thing, is I talk people through what I believe is a good deal, and I don't put deals in front of other clients that I don't actually think are worth an investment.
And that's a really important point as well, because we always found that in the early days of working with you, there's so many sources that would come to us with deals, and they weren't deals. When you look at them and you do your due diligence and look at the MVALs and stuff, it's like, this guy's trying to charge me a fee for something that is not a fucking deal.
It's a right move. You can go buy it open market.
Absolutely. We never had that. It was very clear that anytime you presented us something, it was a quality deal. And that's important to us with our clients, because our model is no longer train them and let them out the door. Our model is long-term retention with our clients. We want people to keep coming back and working with us.
What people don't understand, and to be fair, I don't think I've ever voiced it, because it's kind of an internal battle, but every single time I present a deal to someone, I'm putting my reputation on the line every time. So I've got the fear almost of it goes wrong because of something I did, and I just can't live with that. It's always a problem. And I've made mistakes, and there are times where things don't go right, but I've got it like finely tuned where it has to be something fucking completely no one would have known for me to miss it and get it wrong. And that isn't a case of, I'll still potentially make mistakes, but I very rarely make them anymore, because I've made them all in the beginning. And so I hold a bit of a kind of personal attachment to, I don't want you to buy that and for it to be a pile of shit. Because I can't let people know then that I sold it and it was a pile of shit. Because then people will just spread that word and it doesn't work. So all I've ever focused on is getting the best deal possible that satisfies the seller, that I can monetize for me. More importantly, I know I've got a buyer, because people will pay me if the deal is good. And that's
always a challenge. You get a lot of these training courses that teach sourcing, and even if you are good enough to figure it out from that training course and do it, obviously you've had 10 years in the industry figuring it out. If someone can go into a course and figure out how to do it, who do they sell it to? Where's the investor out the other end? Whereas we are creating essentially a one-stop shop where we spend a huge amount of money on marketing every month to get these opportunities, but we have a pool of people ready to buy. And not to forget, we're buying for ourselves as well. So
exactly. So it makes my job easier. Like when there's nothing more powerful than sitting with a vendor and telling them, I can deliver this result, and 100% that you can. Because either you're buying it or you get qualified guys that can buy it.
As soon as the deal comes through, you've always got someone in your head for it.
Every single time. Because I'm always keep checking on cash positions. I'm always checking on our cash positions. Like, I know what we can do when a lead comes in and what I'm looking at. And that helps that person. It helps us get what we want, and the client gets what they want out of it as well.
And there's another element to this that we haven't even touched on yet, which is the refurb support, right? Because most of these below market value opportunities come with some form of renovations or improvements. And for Laurie and I, that was a massive challenge at the start, right? I mean, we went through a whole host of tradesmen trying to find someone who we could rely on long term to do our refurbs. And you end up in a situation where you get the keys for a new property, you're then tendering out to a couple of contractors. If they get back to you, you know, you're talking best case 2-3 weeks before you've got a response from them all and they've been out to check it. And then you appoint your contractor, then you're at their mercy as to whether or not they can actually go and do that job within the next couple of months. Yeah. So we time and time again found ourselves 6 months into the deal and we're just getting the refurb finished. Yeah. Whereas now we offer this, and that's what led to us starting our own building company and starting our own renovations, and that has been a challenging 2.5 years to get that business to where it is now. But that business is now entirely focused on doing refurbs for us and refurbs for our clients. We don't do anything else, right?
Exactly. And originally it was just for your own stuff, which, you know, kind of it gives you control, but that business isn't really going to make money if it's only
doing stuff
charging yourself. You know, you're going to charge yourself a premium in one hand and pay it out in the other. So, you know, it didn't make sense as a business to have it, but it gave us control. Yeah. But then when we were having these clients where, now I've done it myself when I was doing my old flips and I would project manage them all, and you would maybe find a consistent contractor and you maybe do 2 with them and it went well, but the third one they would fuck up. Yeah. And I was just saying, I don't get that. I've worked with you twice. Why is this one different? Yep. And you just get every excuse under the sun. Right? It's probably one of the most challenging industries I've ever kind of seen is construction and trades.
And we battle with that every day. Running our own business doesn't, you know, exempt us from the challenges of having tradesmen and dealing with it. It's just they work for us and you have a little bit more control over the situation, but you still have issues on a weekly basis.
And this is one of the biggest flaws of our business of Real Property Scotland and the whole model is it's almost too good that the clients don't have a taste of fucking reality. Yeah. Like, because they've not experienced shit deals, getting fucked over by a bad sourcer or getting poor education and not understanding it from day one, or get shafted on a refurb.
Having to deal with contractors.
They've not experienced all of that because we built a model that takes all of that headache away from them. Yeah. But it's almost to the point where it's too good that they don't understand how difficult it would be otherwise. Without that model, without our support. Yep. And that's okay. You know, they can be protected and sheltered. It's why we built a business. We're genuinely invested in their best interest. But it just baffles me sometimes about what the real world is actually like, you know, for a property investor just getting going.
Yeah, and we've been through all those challenges at the start. But, you know, what we have essentially created now with Real Property Scotland is a one-stop shop, right? Where you can come, you can get all the education to do property investment professionally. You can get the support, or you will get the support to get your initial deals. And if you continue to work with us, we'll keep feeding you deals. Below market value deals that create instant equity positions, and you get the majority of your cash, if not all, out of that deal on refinance. Yep. We can support you with the refurb. We're supporting people with finance as well through the lender relationships that we have to make sure that they're getting the best bridging options and exit options out the other end.
That's all the steps that you need when you're looking to invest in property and to scale a buy-to-let portfolio. That's what we focus on. We're the buy-to-let specialists in the UK, and that's what we want to build for people for all the multiple reasons. This isn't the podcast to talk about the benefits of buy-to-let, but there's many, and that's why we believe in it. But you need to understand what you're doing, how you're going to set it up and buy it, all the tax implications, your corporate structure, all the stuff that you specialise in, and give a massive insight into all the clients. You then need to figure out how you're going to pay for the deals, which comes into finance. Where do you get the money? We felt everything that we've done with none of our own cash. We've got multiple clients who have built multiple million-pound portfolios with none of their own money invested in it. It can be done, regardless of those who doubt it. We're living, breathing proof of it. So we show you how to finance it, but also we allow you access to our finance facilities to help you there as much as possible. So then once you know how you're doing it, you've got the money in the bank to do it, now you need the deals. We're now supplying deals to you on a consistent basis that are discounted below market value, that guarantee to create an equity position, give you a financial performance that pays you at least typically £200, £250 per month. Some of them much more, but that's the minimum. And then also you've got as minimal cash left in as possible so that you can recycle and scale, so that you can move quicker. Your refurbs are taken care of nationwide across Scotland.
Yep.
Pre-approved quotes are delivered to the clients before they commit to even buying the deal. There's a structure as to when it's going to happen. There's a structure as to how the payments are going to be laid out. It's packaged up so easily. And then to top it off, you've just got ongoing support. And none of this ain't right. Minimum commitment for our clients is, it's 12 months.
Yep.
Right. That's what we look for, minimum of 12 months. But our clients are planning on just working with us for 12 months. They want to continue to grow. And we are there to continue to offer all of these services. It's just we have some people who just want to do their first one and they want to know that they've done it right and then move on to the next one. And we've got others who just want to come in and they want to grow a big portfolio and they want to do it in a short period of time, just like we did. And we do that, we do portfolios.
I think that's another, we've not touched on the sort of higher level support that we have to help people really scale their portfolio. So there's the support for people starting out and getting the first deal. Then we have some higher level options where we help people scale their portfolio, and we have partnership level where we say we'll get a minimum of 5 deals in a year. And then we've got consultancy level, which is sort of a minimum of 10 deals in a year. And for someone who's really looking to scale their portfolio rapidly, and the exciting thing for me over the last little while is seeing clients start to do big portfolio deals. We've got 4 consultancy clients just now with multi-unit portfolios going through legals. That's really cool. That's only came about this year, but we're now at a point where we're really helping people properly replicate the model that we did, grow and scale as quickly as we did.
So like you say, this is a new concept that we've only just brought in to our business because we recognised there was a demand for it. But one of our clients, Andy, we literally in the first meeting, this consultancy meeting that he had, he presented a portfolio that's worth 1.25, he's buying it for 900 grand, all his costs in, it'll be £1 million. Right, we have over 10x his investment day one. Because he's created this
instant equity of £250,000 and really cool assets actually. It's got a flat in Turnberry which looks minted.
Right on the golf course, That's a couple of units in Glasgow, a couple of units in Dundee. Exceptional portfolio, really unique opportunity. There's a lot of inexperienced investors that are in this kind of turbulent market that are suffering, and those who understand it, that are coming at it professionally, are able to alleviate that pressure from them and kind of turn it into something positive for themselves. So there's an abundance of opportunities that we're working with these clients, but they're very, very complex portfolios. You can know that more than anybody.
And that's where the hand-holding really comes in, and that's why it's people at the consultancy level that do those deals, because it needs a lot more support from us.
Well, it's literally we're on board with it. We just don't have any ownership in your business. We don't have any ownership of the property, but we sign these documents that allow us to act as if we are you.
We're also getting to work with really cool people. Now, the people that are coming to work with us are, like guys like Andy, guys like Sean, who are like successful business owners, really scaling their business, and they just want to branch out and start building an investment portfolio on the side.
And I think that's something like for those at that higher level that we actually bring to the table in abundance is okay with property getting, but actually they're all businesses and they're all different businesses, and we share a lot of knowledge and benefit just on the business. So even for their trading, their existing businesses, consultancy, you get a full open book to everything we do, how we operate, everything that we have, and even some small things, even to just do with the Amex things, the tax structure. They're getting all that value. They won't have to do any of that. I'm going to go do that today.
The pension stuff is massive, guys. They've got their own businesses, and how they can avoid corporation tax in their business, especially when they're having big years of profitability. How they can then recycle that money out of the pension back into the business to help grow it. Those are things that are not property specific, but part of the overall training stuff. And through consultancy, we can work with them, not just give them the knowledge, but work with them to actually put these things in place and implement them.
And to play the games that are there to be played, and it's just a case of, you can do this, and that means that you pay less tax here, and you do that. And also you can do this move here that helps grow that business, it helps grow your portfolio. And it's all stuff that we do on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes we probably take it for granted. But you get to come in and just access all of that and make an instant change. So day one, we've added £1 million, over £1 million worth of assets to this new property business. That stuff's nuts, you're not getting that anywhere else.
No, absolutely not. And it's just been so cool to see this thing and grow and develop particularly over the last 6 months, because that's when things have felt really exciting.
Yeah.
Are there any particular clients that you are especially kind of proud of the dynamic of how we've helped them, or is there any specific instance?
Yeah, there's always going to be those ones that are stand out that maybe had it a wee bit harder than others, and you're always kind of cheering them on. And I want all my clients to win, but there's always those ones where it's just like they hit a load of brick walls, and they just kept going. So Mickey, he's one of them. Stephen McCallum, we all call him Mickey. I hope that's his full name. I just know him as Mickey now. But he came to us, I think, came to see us in Edinburgh last year, June or July. Started working with us in the August. Took a bit of time, maybe actually get some cash together, applying strategies. And then we done his first deal at the start of the year. Nice 2-bed flat up in Aberdeen. Bought it for 55k, and we got it rented for $750 a month. Tasty cash flow on it. He's got most of his cash back out, and now he's on to his next project. And his business model, I worked with him on it at the very beginning about his branding, who he wanted to be, because his network was very closed off to wealth and kind of aspiring to have that, and he found it challenging. I worked on it, so it's collective capital this company is, and it was the idea that collectively we can all have a piece of this. We can all get returns by being involved, and I'll be the guy to do it, but I want to work with people who maybe don't want to be involved in property, but they want to get the benefit that someone else says, and kind of working with like-minded and an individual who comes from the same background as them or the same setup or whatever.
I'm not going to go down the mindset rabbit hole, because I've been there, done a specific podcast with Laurie on it last couple of weeks ago. But Mickey's a really good example of someone who has switched their mindset massively. You can see it in the things that he's done and the posts that he does, and doing the hard 75, there's complete commitment to fitness and well-being over 75 days. He's a guy that's overcome,
and he took that and he's applying daily things, and he's up at 4 a.m. You should see how he maps out his day now, and that's because it makes sense to him to just have all this productivity outlined so that he can cope with everything. He still works full time. He's building his property business. He's got a missus, he's got the same challenges as everybody else, but he just approaches it differently. And that all kind of stemmed from when he started working with us. And Craig Bunting's the same. He's another phenomenal client of ours. I think what it says, he said he had 4 properties in like 20 years or something, and then he's just done 4 in 9 months working with us. Also the best deals that he's had. I'm in the process of selling a couple for him that were in his personal name, so that he can reinvest
and buy these good
and buy these better deals, exactly, where he's going to recycle majority of the cash. The cash flow is higher, and that equity position's created for him, his wife and his kids for the future. And he's the same. His mindset's completely shifted to everything. He's applying himself, conducting himself differently every day, to the point when his wife thought he was part of a cult. But she's now met us, and she's fully on board as well. And it's just about, like, it's amazing to see from our point of view. Sometimes it's difficult to kind of take a step back and reflect and see it for what it is, but we're genuinely impacting people's lives. And sometimes you don't see it like that because people just call you a training business. Or you're just another one of those property trainers. It's like, you've not even got a clue what we do. What we do is, it changes people's lives for fact. It's changed ours.
It has, and the story of how it goes forward and what some of these clients achieve is going to be really exciting, and it's something that I'm looking forward to featuring more as we go forward. And we're already talking about doing another podcast for specifically aimed at our clients and their progress and their journey, and I think that's going to be a hugely valuable.
That'll be huge, because it's good to hear it from their point of view. I know all the clients, I know all their stories. Jules and Andy, Jules works for the NHS. Andy runs like a dog walking business, like a successful one, don't get me wrong, but they're just kind of like, they see themselves as average people. There's nothing kind of too over zealous about anything that they do, and they've come in, they bought 2 buy-to-lets in 6 months, I think now.
And And they're just getting started.
You know, those are the clients that really excite me because it matters so much to them.
Yep.
And they just want to know that they're doing it right and seeing progress, and that's exactly what they're delivering for everybody.
I love it when a portfolio can provide options to people going forward, you know, options of whether or not they have to work, options of, you know, how they spend their time going forward. And these are the things that make the life-changing differences. So, you know, it's amazing. It's been a great journey. I think there's maybe one more thing to mention out of the whole Real Property Scotland thing, which is town and country property options. So
yes. So the natural progression is that we kind of operate under this one umbrella of Real Property Scotland. There's multiple subdivisions of businesses within that. And one is, of course, the sourcing business. So We Buy Homes Scotland. Genuinely, my ambition for that is that we will be the biggest home buyer in Scotland, without question. We probably already are. We're one of the biggest landlords at the moment. But in general, it will be, that's the place that anybody who's looking to sell their property will go to there before they do anything else. Now, because of that, not everybody's in the position where they're willing to look and sell their property at below what it's worth or at an attractive investment value. Therefore, I need to find alternative solutions that still get them the best possible price within the timescale they want it and get it done securely. So the obvious one for me was auctions. It's a phenomenal system. The process to go through is clean, it's easy, it's fast, it's secure. And apart from a direct cash purchase, it's what was my number one.
Yep.
And then we also launched real property sales as well, which gives us a route to market for anybody who is looking for a different approach. It's happy to go on the market if they want to achieve the top value with a buyer that can genuinely conclude. Right? No nonsense, no high street agents telling you your property is worth 10, 20 grand more than what it is because they want your business, and then you're dropping your price for the next 6 months and none of us achieving a concluded sale or getting caught part of a chain. We do things differently through that side because basically I'm not the biggest fan of estate agents, as most people who know me will know. So all I've done is all of these businesses is create something that does it differently, that delivers real results.
Yeah.
The whole business is built on.
It's for me, it's all about having a tool bag where we can help pretty much anybody that comes through We Buy Homes Scotland with a problem.
Just like the training business, the one-stop shop, that business is the exact same.
Yeah.
If you have a property to sell, I can sell it. No matter how we do it, one way or another, there is a solution that we can provide for you and do it at speed, at the best possible value, and in the time that you need it without all the hassle.
Awesome. Thanks for doing this, Conar. It's been a really great chat. I love talking about this business. Massively passionate about what we're doing there, as are you, clearly. Thanks.
Appreciate you having me on.
This has been the Real Wealth Podcast. I'm Alex Robertson, and thanks for joining us on this wealth journey.